Boy, the nonprofit sector is finally, I think, coming into its own in terms of awareness about lack of diversity, which is just a huge challenge, not just for our sector, but for every sector. Um, if you've never read Nonprofit AF by Voulay, it's definitely worth reading. He is from the Northwest, where I am, and he talks frequently about the lack of diversity in the nonprofit sector. This goes everywhere through our organizations, but it really includes our volunteers and those who kind of have made nonprofits work were usually people of means. They were like people who knew someone, and they would volunteer because they had a connection through a friend, and those people get jobs, and it's all just one long pipeline to continuing the same system we've been in over the years. So I believe trying to be better, more diverse organizations starts at volunteers, because that is a pipeline to actually many people getting jobs. So we need to find where are the audiences we're not reaching and start reaching them. That might mean going through different community groups than we have in the past, different social channels, going and giving talks at schools, going and giving talks at community centers. But we have to find the audiences that are not the same ones we've always found and bring them into our volunteer pool. So for volunteers, again, I think nothing's better than giving them appreciation and talking to them. A lot of volunteers end up feeling a little disconnected from the work, especially, let's be honest, our entire workplace changed in 2020 and has really never gone back to the same. It's slightly like it used to be, but it's never going to be the same. So the volunteers I've worked with express sometimes a feeling of alienation and loneliness because people will give them jobs doing research remotely and checking in on email. And that's not like the old days where volunteers might gather in a room and stuff envelopes. So I think we have to be aware that these jobs aren't perhaps as fun as they used to be. So accordingly, let's be really grateful and let's create opportunities for volunteers. So for example, if I have a volunteer, I say to them in the beginning, what are you hoping to get out of this? And how can we help you? And for many of them, they might want to have experience towards a degree. Who knows what they might want? It might be a better relationship if I help them after they help me as well. So it's trying to have regular communications, find out what they need, find out how the experience can benefit them as well. And I say frequently check in. A lot of volunteers will tell you the main reason they stop volunteering is no one ever checks in. So I would definitely have an ongoing relationship. Yeah, communication between board and staff is probably one of the biggest challenges I think facing nonprofit leaders. It's a tough one because you have an industry that's in pretty aggressive transition mode right now. We're trying to change how we manage. We're trying to change some of the hierarchical nature of how boards and staff interact. A lot of nonprofits are very focused on trying to address racial equity. So there's all of these changes going on, and sometimes the board's not at exactly the same place in the continuum as the staff is. That presents a challenge for folks. And so what I believe is helpful is, as much as possible, normalize relationships between nonprofit leadership and board members. So it is a professional relationship. I've had times in my life where you were getting calls at 9 and 10 at night. And the best thing for all is to say, we'll have this check-in at our board meetings, and then once a week, let's schedule a time. That's, I think, the level of communication that is most helpful for nonprofit leaders to have with board members, to just keep it on a professional level. And I'm a big believer in board members should be able to talk to staff who are not just the leaders of the organization. There shouldn't be this filter, but the leader of the organization has to jump in if things ever get difficult and make sure the staff are okay. So it's a complicated terrain for a lot of folks in the nonprofit sector. Yeah, I think that for a lot of folks, the signs that things might be awry to me are when you start, as a leader of a nonprofit, if you start not looking forward to your board meetings, if you start feeling like, you're a child about to have a reprimand, that should make you go, yeah, because that means that things aren't really healthy, right? If you're coming into that kind of mode approaching your board meetings, most people see board meetings as like, a lot of people in the nonprofit world see board meetings as something you have to survive or get past. I see a world in which board meetings are fun and board members are rolling up their sleeves and supporting the leaders. And I've been in places like that where we looked forward to all meeting together. And that's really the functional environment you should have. So, signs to watch for, I think, when things are not healthy are when you're dreading having meetings, you're saving up conflict for the meetings, never a good idea, or getting a lot of emails that are not helpful emails.